Hello everyone and welcome to making your first 3D game in Unity. I'm Ryan. Let's get started. So let's take a look and see what we're working towards right now. I'm going to go ahead and hit the play button. So this is going to be a first-person shooter with some grass, some mountains. There's going to be some enemies spawning right now. Some barrels right there. You can go ahead and shoot the barrels. Uh, there we go. Sorry. And then you can go ahead and shoot the enemies, and there you go. That's fun. So, first things first, in the description of this video, go ahead and download the Unity package that pretty much contains everything for this game right now. You can either double click it, I think you can drag it in, or you can go up here to Assets, hit Import Package, and then Custom Package, and then that'll bring it all in. Import everything, don't leave anything behind. And then you can go ahead and there should be a general scene .unity file. If you double click that, you'll get right to where we are right now, and then you can hit the play button, and then you should be able to just do the same thing that I did. But this is a tutorial on where we make it ourselves. So let's go ahead and go to File and do a new scene, and this gives us just a blank area workspace to build off of. So right now you can see that we have a whole lot of nothing, just some sky in the distance. And I'm using right mouse, by the way, to drag left and right, and then you can use center mouse to drag the scene around. So remember that in the future. So we need something to walk on. We need some environment. We need some level to interact with. So one thing that's common in 3D games is to use terrain. So you can do this, you can add terrain in a couple different ways. So my personal favorite, just because it's easier, is in the hierarchy, you can just right click and then this will bring up a kind of a drop down. You can go to 3D object and then hit terrain right there. The other way to do it is you can come up here to game object and then 3D object and then terrain once again. So go ahead and it's gonna, I guess it's thinking a little bit, so give it a second, and there we go. Now we have this nice little white square. Hooray! So what we can do with this now is you can see that in the hierarchy a terrain object was created. So if you click on that, on the right now in the inspector, you can now see this component that is actually terrain. And there's all these little buttons right here. So to begin with, we're just going to go and hit this first little button, which is the raise and lower terrain segment, I guess. And so you can pick your brush size, or pick your brush. I like this little one with little dots. And then I'm going to make it a bit bigger, 63, because why not? And then you can just click and kind of drag. And then you can see that as you're dragging, mountains are being created. And if I kind of hover in one spot back and forth, you can see I'm creating really big mountains right now. So up to you how big you want to make it. Right now I just want to make a nice little square arena for our player to be in, for the monsters to come and get them in, and that looks pretty good. The second button is actually paint height, and it's exactly the same thing except you can have a max height. So if I set the max height to be 15, then if I click and hold, then that height will never get above 15. So if you want to set like a height limit, that's a better way to do it. I'm going to undo that. This third one is a smooth height, and I'm going to change to my big solid brush right now. And what this does is if you zoom in, you can see that right now we got little jaggedy mountains right here, but if I just go over that, it'll smooth out the mountains and it'll become very nice hills instead of the jagged, pointy death mountain things that we have going on right there. So feel free to clean up as much as you want of your mountains. If you want to keep them jaggedy, that's totally fine. It's up to you. Now, we're kind of getting bored of this white, bland color, so let's add some actually grass texture to our terrain. So this fourth one is actually the paint texture, and before you start painting, you have to actually add a texture. So come up here to textures, and then you can hit edit texture, and then add texture, and then over here you can see that on the left one we're going to click select, and if you imported everything correctly, you should see pretty much all of these, pretty much all of this. So we're going to use Grass Hill Albedo to begin with, and then we can just go ahead and add that. And what this does is this paints everything that one color. So that's nice for us. But we don't want everything to be the same color. We want to add a different color for the mountains. So let's go ahead and add another texture. So go again to Edit Textures and then Add Texture. And then we're going to select another one. This time we're going to select the Grass Rocky Albedo. And go ahead and select that one and add that one. And now to actually select it, you just click on it and you can tell it's selected when you have that blue line underneath. So I still have my big brush, and then I can just drag over the mountains area, and then I can do a top-down view by clicking on this Y at the top, and then just kind of paint to your heart's content. I'm not going to spend too much time making it look good because I am not artistic. And it looks okay, I guess. That looks, yeah, that'll do. That'll do. So there we go. Now we have our nice little mountain texture area. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit to the ground because now is the fun part where we get to add grass. So actually the next tab in terrain is trees. I don't have any trees for you right now, but if you have any trees, feel free to add those as well. But we're going to go to the next one, which is paint details. Now details are basically just grass in my eyes. So if you go to edit details and then you can add a grass texture, which is what we're going to do, you'll get this window. And the very first thing is detail texture. So click on this little circle right here, and that'll bring up your materials once again. So I included a grass Fron 01 Albedo Alpha texture that for you to use that I took off of Unity's free assets, so I'm not stealing because I discredited them, haha. So click on that one and then hit add, and now we have it selected. So I can just pick a brush and then click, and then there is a very full patch of grass, and there's some dead grass in there, and that's okay. And a nice little star. Add some of that, Now if I zoom out, you can see the grass is actually disappearing. It's still there, But one thing that Unity does is there is in the settings on the far right, they have a tree and detail objects section, and they have a detail distance. So if I make that a bit higher, then you can see that the grass is actually there, but if I make it a bit lower, oh, it's all gone. So this is just to make sure your computer doesn't crash from all the grass that you have, but it's really up to you. I keep it at default just because it'll slow down your computer if you have it too high and you don't want to see too much. It's really up to you. Just play around with it, see what works best for you. So we now have a nice little terrain area, and if I zoom in again, you can see that we actually have our grass. So if we go to our game tab, you can see that we're looking exactly at the corner of our terrain. And if we click on the main camera in the hierarchy, you can see that we're actually down here. So that's not really where we want to be. So what I can do is I can go up here to the top left and hit this little 4-directional arrow, and then I can just kind of bring it in with using the arrows, using the axes. I'll bring it up just a bit. I'm misclicking. And then you can use this actually square just to, move it around a little bit. I'm going to double click just to zoom in a bit more. And now you can see that we're right at where that grassy section was. So now what I can do is actually, there it is. So I can hit play, and you can now see that our grass is there. We have our mountain, and the grass actually will sway in the wind back and forth. It's very nice. But this isn't really a game. This is just Grass Simulator 2016, which is a great game, but we have to add a bit more to this one to make it our game. So in the next video, learn how to create a player, how to have the player walk around, and basically just make user input for the player to interact with the environment. So if you have any questions that I left out, leave a comment below, and I'll see you next video. Bye-bye.